Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 14th of September, comes to you from London. And the big news really is the falls that we saw in US markets last night. The S&P 500 index down 4.3% on inflation worries. Well, no big surprises there. Inflation has been in the charts for ages, but what's really key is this lagging line testing the weekly cloud now. And of course, other markets such as Germany are already through that cloud and in a new bear trend on the long-term chart. Remembering this is my weekly, my daily, and my 60-minute chart with the corresponding point and figure targets. So first of all, we start by looking at the dollar. The dollar index just still in that very big long-term chart. I was just looking at a slide presentation this morning that I'm rejigging for a conference next week, and in December we were saying that 2022 would be the year of the dollar. It's up 15%. All you really had to do was just put your money in dollars if you weren't dollar denominated already, and you had a very nice carry. And there's no signs yet that this is over. We've got big upside targets, including a new one just activated. And of course, that is in turn very bearish for the euro long term. And we've talked about these downside targets before. We're back below the cloud, having fallen away yesterday, so that's quite key. Inflation numbers out as well. Looking at the Japanese yen, this is really the lead indicator for the dollar, and the dollar pushing to new highs there. Had a big jump yesterday on that inflation number, because that really just starting to show that US interest rates are going to go higher. So no big surprises there. Sterling sitting at 115.43. So just teetering along the floor there. Again, that dollar strength starting to show through, and against the euro just holding its own at the 115 level, so quite key there as well. Looking at Bitcoin, we're back at the $20,000 mark, really just struggling to hold any gains there. And as we mentioned, the S&P 500 index lower. The NASDAQ actually also not looking great, already through the cloud on that weekly chart, again as a lead indicator. And if you look at stocks like Apple, it really is just the top 6 tech stocks almost make up around 20% of the US market. So tech stocks really do have the ability to bring these markets lower. Just waiting for a new downside target there. The futures are showing a little bit of recovery today, up 0.5%, but that's like 5 steps forward or 10 steps forward, 1 step back. So really, or if you like, 10 steps lower, 1 step back, so higher. So it's really like a dead cat bounce. The VIX volatility did jump yesterday into the high 20s. We said that jump there on the chart. And we are back into short-term bullish territory for the VIX, which is, of course, bad news for the market. The FTSE future is down 1% this morning. The FTSE has been held up by the oil giants, really being a big factor in the London market. And, of course, the DAX in Germany is 0.25% lower. This 12,500 level on the DAX is really, really critical. That's what we've got to watch for that to hold. Asian markets were lower as well. No big surprises there. The US has spooked global markets. We see Japan down 2%. The Hang Seng down 2.5%. That's been in a downtrend for ages. Note how we're below the cloud there on the weekly with downside targets. A new downside target recently activated. That came up on my alerts the other day. Looking at the Chinese market, down 0.8% here, so weaker there as well. And if we look at India, it was actually very resilient, only down 0.12%, really bucking the trend here, almost making new highs. So it's the one standout market. We haven't quite activated this new upside target yet, but are really holding on to gains there. The Aussie market was down 2.5%, and most Aussie shares were hit across the board. I know that in my own holdings. We'll look at the energy mix in a minute. Looking at US nat gas, so we'll go to that in the energy mix, sorry. Coffee down 1%, so just falling away there, but still bullish long term. Sugar also still holding on to its long term uptrend, and wheat. We've seen quite a lot of volatility here in wheat, but we are holding above the cloud here as well. And corn also just bouncing back and holding that cloud. So Commodities still in long-term uptrends, despite everything you may think. Gold sitting at 1703. We are in a sell everything environment at the moment, and gold just struggling. We've got to wait for the breakout on gold. And other precious metals are rebounding this morning. Platinum up 1.4%, so looking a little bit better here. And if we look at US 10-year yield, 3.4% jump yesterday, just nudging that 3.5% high that we saw back in June. This is setting us up for a new target. Of course, this column is not finished yet. If you hit the V key, you can get the vertical target. So far, we're seeing targets to 5.7%, and this column is not finished. And if we look at the 30-year bond yield, we do already have a target 4.5%. And again, this is making new highs. This is going to give us a new target as well. So really quite key. Just a quick look at some of the tech stocks. Apple, this is the biggie, and we've noticed that we've activated a downside target here, 20% lower on the 0.5% chart. We haven't yet activated on the 1% chart, but we are bearish still on that short-term chart. We did recover on Apple, but this is the stock to watch. And I did an analysis of Warren Buffett's holdings yesterday. Apple is 40% of his portfolio, is massive. So this is really going to be quite critical for a lot of markets. The Apple stock, if you've got to watch one stock chart, make it Apple. Taking a look now at the energy mix, we've got Brent crude looking a little bit better this morning. Not so good on the daily chart, but on the 60-minute chart higher. We've got an activated upside target back to 99. So it'll be interesting to see whether we can go back to nudging that $100 mark. WTI, similarly, we're bullish on the short-term chart. And if we look at US nat gas, that's also looking bullish on the short-term chart. And the long-term trend is still looking bullish there as well. Targets much higher. If we make new highs on US nat gas, we are going much higher. 934 is the upside target there on the 60-minute chart, so one to watch. Looking at coal prices, back above the $300 mark. Coal is looking bullish. It's a fact that we're seeing energy fuels, coal, uranium, other fuels really benefiting from the gas price. And if we look at emissions, we're back below that 70 level this morning. Got a new little mini range here in emissions, and that's what we've got to watch now, is just breaking that range. 65.72, that's really what we're going to watch. Looking at TTF, we are up this morning. We were out neutral to clients. Basically, we're below the cloud, but we do have upside targets. So we basically have conflicting picture there. Still in a long-term bull trend, although we did see that trend breaking. That's going to be quite key there. So just watching that. And then if we look at MBP, UK gas, we do again have upside targets here, and we found a floor around 350. 400 was the critical level before. That may well kick in as resistance. Watch that level. And German power sitting back at 500. So gave up that level, and we're now back on that level, so really quite key. So watch those charts. Notice the targets 498, 502 given this morning on the 1 minute chart. This 457 chart target given as well. You just can't ignore the targets. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.